Hi everyone, welcome to our miniature STEAM Saturday in our virtual library space. Today we're going to make eggshell salt crystal geodes, and this is a really fun project because you can do this with things you probably already have at home in your kitchen. You will need a little bit of grown-up help for some of this because we're going to boil some water, but otherwise this is really easy for just about anybody to do. So here are our supplies. We're going to need water, salt, at least one egg, and some food coloring, plus small bowls. I just have one egg that I'm going to crack in half in two pieces, so I have two bowls, and then something to boil water in. So the first thing we're going to do is carefully crack our eggs. This is kind of tough because you want to get two sort of flat boat-shaped pieces. So you're kind of going to crack the egg the opposite way you normally would. Now you can see here mine didn't really come out that beautiful, so it doesn't have to be perfect or anything. And then once you have your two pieces, we're going to clean up the shells a little bit like I've done here in this picture. You can see I've lost a lot of my shell in the cleanup process, and that's okay. So we're going to peel off those membranes and carefully wash the shells so we have two nice clean pieces. We're going to leave those shells to dry. So this is the part where we're going to need a little grown-up help. We're going to boil some water. I actually did a little more than I really needed to. You only really need enough to about halfway cover both of your shells in the two bowls. So once the water is boiling, like we see here, we're going to turn it off, and now we're going to start stirring in salt. So what we want to make here is what's called a saturated solution, which means that this water can't hold any more salt. So you don't have to measure the salt, but what you do have to do is keep stirring in a little bit at a time until no more will dissolve. So once, instead of sort of disappearing into the water, you start seeing your salt crystals settling along the bottom of the pot, and no matter how much you stir, they won't dissolve. That means you're at a saturated solution, and that's what we want. So now we're going to add our shells into our small bowls. You don't want too much space around the eggshell, so something that just gives you a little bit of room on either side of your eggshell. And now's the most fun part, I think. We're going to add some color. You don't have to add the food coloring, but it adds a really cool effect to our final geodes. It makes the crystals easier to see, plus I think it's really fun. We'll add a little drop of blue, and then we're going to carefully pour in the salt water. I put mine in this measuring cup to make it easier to pour. We're going to pour a little bit in the shell first, and then pour around it so that the shell doesn't float up to the top. That way it stays down saturated in our salt water solution. We'll repeat that with the other shell. I'm trying some color mixing on this one. So I added a drop of red and a drop of yellow. And now we pour in the water and we wait. So you can start seeing some salt crystals as soon as the next day. In fact, here are my day one eggshells. You can see where I've highlighted those areas where the salt crystals have started to form. So what's happening here is that as the water evaporates, as the water leaves the bowl, it leaves behind the salt. And the salt molecules like to gather up in these special forms called crystals. And that's what makes these really neat shapes. I'm going to put a link in the video description to one of our Williamsburg Regional Library resources, Encyclopedia Britannica for Kids, that has a really cool article about crystals and how they form. So you can check that out to get a little more information. And I will be back posting on social media in the next few days with some updates on how the crystals are growing. I would really love to see yours too, so make sure you follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. On all three of those, we're at WR Library. We'd love to see your pictures of how your experiment is going. So send us a message, send us questions, pictures. We'd love to hear from you. We miss you guys. Hope we'll see you at the library very soon. And until then, hope you enjoy our virtual programming. So we'll see you soon. Bye.